Yeah.
Listen, everything doesn't work down there.
Nothing.
I did love the moment, I think, as we all did, and I think we were all like up in our seats at the same time when she was saying it. But whenever she, was like, hey, listen, like the North, we've been through a lot. We're keeping our independence. Peace.
Well, and so everybody had already voted for him. Mm-hmm. And she's like the last one, and she's like, I love you, little brother, but nah.
I did like how nobody else was like, wait a minute, that was
an option?
Yeah. Like, we
and
just signed into this.
Well, especially after they've picked a Stark to rule, and then the North is gonna Nexit. Also called it, #Nexit.
That was good.
But yeah, I think though that like the only thing I can think is like at this point all their armies have been decimated. All their great houses have been decimated, and they just like don't want a war anymore, and so they're like, whatever gets us back to peace, so like we can have a harvest and stop being pillaged. Because if you think basically the entire time we've been in this realm, they've been at war, like almost nonstop. So I think at that point everybody's just like, what the fuck ever, just let's get everything settled down. So that's the only way I can think them like. Not being like, whoa, why aren't we just gonna do our own kingdoms then? But yeah, no, I love that part too, and that's the only ending I wanted for her. That's why I just feel like, if nothing else, I have that satisfaction. That is,
Sansa got her due
of what I need. But going back to the fact that Bran can't produce an heir, so it is going to be this great council and sort of an oligarchy that gets to decide. Should
it be like an elected monarchy? Are those? That's a thing, right?
Oligarchy is a small group that gets to decide.
But they're not all
power.
ruling. Don't they? Isn't like an oligarchy like where they rule together? And then because they're like selecting the singular
figurehead.
person.
Yeah, but I don't think so because I think they still. So I took it as like. Bran doesn't get to rule like with impunity though, like that they still have oversight is how I took that. Is that like he's just gonna do the day-to-day shit.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I interpreted that differently.
So they do the day-to-day shit.
Well, so I thought it was like Bran's still
the small council. So this great council,
Bran's still king, ruling with the small council as things, and then I thought that basically they were saying like instead of having it being passed down like by
lineage,
your heirs and stuff. Instead, after each king goes, like we will reconvene a great council and like elect a new one.
Which I agree, but he's also all younger than all of them. I don't know. I took it as that they also had the power to like overrule him. So maybe different interpretations, but depending on what your interpretation of that whole interaction,
is
still what kind of government
lot
it is.
Different than
still better than a straight monarchy,
where they're going from.
So I don't know if you guys like. I know you have, Olivia, like played the game Civ, and like as you progress through the ages, like you get to progress like what kind of kingdom you have, and like you go through the.
Oh, it's amazing!
It's a really cool game.
So much fun if you're
actually
interested
because
in history
you like D&D and like Risk and stuff. Like it's such a cool game, but like it's very well done and like how you progress through like all these different like eras of humanity. And you like advance with technology and stuff. But anyway, so that's what I was thinking of though. I'm like, oh, we progressed a point like in our Civ.
You move a little bit. Like everybody laughed at democracy for a reason. That was
because they're just
crazy.
Not ready.
To make that jump.
It's like when everyone laughed at Bernie. Oop. Sorry. You can edit that out.
It's fine. But anyway, he does name Tyrion the Hand for the third time in Tyrion's dismay.
Yeah.
Did he want it? I wonder.
Again?
Well, he says he doesn't. He said he doesn't because he's like sees himself as such a failure.
Yeah,
but
like,
I'm
obviously
really
this haven't worked out before.
Well, but I also, I love Tyrion, so I really want to see him.
Who was he the first one for?
Well, he served as Hand of the King
Joffrey.
for Joffrey in place of his father.
Yeah.
Then he served as Hand of the Queen for Dany, and now, which he was really good for Joffrey, and I think especially in times of peace, he does pretty well, and even in the Battle of Blackwater Bay. So, I like that role for him. I like that he has to live with what's happened. You know what I mean? Especially since he instigated it so much. But with this whole council and everybody, you know, we talked about Edmure and like Sansa I would have loved, but I also think that like she doesn't want the whole Seven Kingdoms. She just wants the North. But it's so funny to me because at this point, Varys sent out those ravens. They all know that Jon is the rightful heir, and no one even bothers.
I know.
Well, I guess to that point, the only thing that I can think of is he's our prisoner. Like, no fucking way you're going to make him king just so we let him out.
Well, and
like,
then
that's the only way.
I think that the Unsullied, and they kind of say that later, that they never would have accepted that. But it's also, I think, you know, they're like, you know what? Fuck a Targaryen. Like, we're done with Targaryens, and we're done with, like, lineage being a deciding factor.
I just feel like that should have been more of a discussion then, because this whole show is, like, based upon lineage. And his lineage was such a huge
reveal.
Yeah,
and
it's like such a huge. It's probably the biggest character arc.
Yeah, like basically Tyrion's little rant about like stories make us leaders is just like bullshit. Like you're like that's fine, but like it's not enough. Like we need more reason. I just didn't understand.
Like it was kind of
and like I said, I didn't want him on the throne, but it was funny that they didn't even like bring it up.
Well, in the fact that like everybody just said yes, like immediately, like after that bullshit story about stories, like is what makes a good king. Like, and they're all like, yeah, sure, I'll go for this kid who's not really talking, hasn't said much of anything. I don't fucking really know who he is. Yeah. You know, like nobody else could decide on somebody else that maybe had a little bit more influence in the whole wars that have been happening.
I have to say, we keep bringing up memes, but like one of my favorite tweets was just like, oh my god, the throne belongs to stories, ? Oh my god, writers are such epic dorks. LOL. I'm like, and I can't like, you know, I love like a really like popcorn novel where it's like very much it's writers being really into being readers and they like reference all these different books and whatever. But like I like that in, you know, a popcorn novel.
Right.
Not like I don't know. It was just like a little bit like
imagine just like being just like a not as huge a fan as we all are and just like a person who watches Game of Thrones like casually and that kind of maybe like, I can understand that meme. You know? They're like what? Wow, nerds.
I mean, because we feel that way, and we are nerds.
Right, exactly. No, for sure. That was a little bit, like, too heavy-handed and the, like, patting your own back.
Like, I was like, wow.
It's stories that matter. Yeah, is it?
That meme, like, I felt personally attacked with that meme. I'm like, okay, well, I understood it, but...
It's so funny. But, yeah, I also thought that was interesting, but like you said... But the thing is, like, I almost wish, like you were saying, like, that they would have brought Jon up.
Yeah.
And then only to have Grey Worm be like, fuck no. Right. You know what I mean? And then that would have confirmed why they didn't.
Yeah. It, just with the whole
because at that point you knew.
It made no sense.
But I guess they just didn't want to spend, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah, because essentially you have to make a compromise with the people that are holding your city. Yeah. You know, like, and that obviously would not be one that they would be okay with as like making our prisoner king. Yeah. But yes, like just a little, hey, what about this option? Yeah. Shut it down from Grey Worm. Would have been nice.
Well, and then like again, going back to like how quickly they voted for Bran when none of them know him and it doesn't make really any sense. The only thing
Yara. I was surprised.
Yeah, especially that she didn't try to take the Iron Islands. The only thing I keep going back to is like because, especially the Iron Islands and places like that don't have, like, wheat and, like, rely on the goods of other places, it would be so hard to figure out their own trade deals and whatever, and they've never done it before. And, like, some people, you know, power is corrupting, but you also gotta remember there's just, for every person who wants to be in power, there's just as many people who are like, I don't fucking care. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just make the decision for me. So that was my only other thought is that they were just like, if I get to have a hand in picking the king for everyone, or queen, very importantly, then, like, that is a lot of power that they never had before. Mm-hmm. So,
Like, maybe they're just satisfied with having that option.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, like, you know, if you are part of the realm, then whoever's the monarch has to send you wheat in the winter, you know, and you're not responsible for getting that yourself. So, and I don't think they want to go to war anymore. So that's, like, that's me being very generous with
the quick transition.
Right.
That. Yeah.
Building up the motive for these people because the writers didn't give it to us. And that's like where, as far as everything being rushed, is like, instead of me, like, some things I don't want you to hand me, I want to be able to just kind of like read into them and take my own conclusions. But some things where I'm like really bending over backwards to come up with like a motive and a narrative for your fucking story that you didn't feel like explaining.
Yeah.
And like also then like explaining it to my friends who are like, what the fuck? Yeah. That's where like I'm doing your job. You know what I mean?
Not that we support the rewrite, by the way.
No, but where I can sympathize with them being kind of lazy is just like,
for sure.
There was a council and we picked Bran.
Yeah.
Like that.
For sure.
That is the 10%. That's where 10% of my deduction comes from is just Bran. Yeah. Big old circle of Bran.
And they do a little bit of that again in the next scene when Tyrion goes to visit Jon, flipping the last scene with, you know, him being the one in prison and Tyrion visiting him and telling him, like, the Unsullied were never going to accept just letting you free, and Arya and Sansa were never going to accept you being executed, and going to the wall was the only thing we could figure out. So, that's fair.
Which also, though, I was like, okay, so they just named Bran as king. Why couldn't he order Jon to...
Well, I think that what they're...
Just wait until the Unsullied leave.
Yeah.
No shit.
That's another thing.
Like, do you think they're ever coming back?
Yeah, they're not going to stick around here. But I think that's them trying to say that Bran is going to be sort of this great, like, you know, communicator or whatever. Yeah, very neutral force on the throne.
Yeah, because he doesn't care about anything.
Right.
Like
because he's not a person. My greatest theory is that Bran has been possessed by a bird this whole time.
Yeah.
He's actually a bird person. But, so that was the compromise. Again, like, where after the fact, you have some, like, exposition of Tyrion explaining what just happened. And then, like, again, explaining to the readers, like, well, like, wait, there's still going to be a wall? Because... Yeah. All the wildlings are gone and all the White Walkers are gone.
Funny. I like laughed when Jon was like, there's still a Night's Watch.
And Tyrion was like, we'll always need a place for bastards and broken men or whatever. Like, yeah, we're just
Which isn't really an explanation for why we need a wall, but you know, whatever, let's move on.
You're just sending a bunch of criminals to live.
Yeah. Basically, it's your...
Put them on the border by the north.
Redline them.
It's your Siberia, like, prison camp.
Yeah, basically.
It's actually kind of fucked up.
Actually.
Which is honestly what it was before, because most people didn't believe in, like, the walkers. They did know wildlings were out there, but I mean, it was still essentially like an exiling prison camp. So... Yeah, you know.
No, I also thought that was funny. I'm like, the realm will always need a place. Like, do you, though?
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, we're slow progress. Not exactly a just society yet. But I think, like, Jon didn't really want the throne. Well, we know he didn't, and he also, like, doesn't really belong there. He would have been a shit ruler.
No. Oh, so, can you imagine?
He
that's
belongs
a
back in the north, like, which actually I think we did discuss him going back to the north.
Well, yeah. So we have, like, this series of goodbyes. I do love Grey Worm just fucking stink-eyeing Jon as he's walking to the ship. Like,
dude, Grey Worm fucking killed it this episode.
Well, and when he stands his queen, and you killed her.
But he was okay with going to Nath.
Yeah, well, and to honor Missandei. When he said that, I was just really like,
I was sobbing.
I know you haven't done some great things lately, but I love you.
Which is amazing, but, you know, it's also like he had, you know, even said, like, he doesn't have a home. You know, they were ripped from their homes as babies.
They don't have a leader anymore
and there's
either.
nowhere for them to go.
So was Missandei, though. You know, she was torn into slavery, and he's
but
like,
she had a home.
Sure.
They were, like, pulled as babies and were just raised as soldiers.
Gonna go
last
protect
place
those people.
Yeah. So that they don't go
the last place he was a slave. You know, like, why would they want to go back there?
I loved that part, too. Just that because, like, I really thought once Missandei was dead that he was probably going to die, too, somewhere in the battle. So just that, like, little bit of, like, really paying homage to